Holloway House. Think we're going to be talking about that today.
Oh, that's good.
Yes. Should I come?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, that's a great.
Okay.
That's a great little thing you taught us
Yes.
there.
Well, while we're getting ready, will you
Sure.
go ahead and talk? I'll get you something to drink.
Hey, do that,
And
will
you
you?
two get some libation.
Okay, listen. Good evening. My name is Odie Hawkins, and here we are back again on Monday night to talk about some books that I've written and also some other sub-subjects. The first thing I'd like to say is that I'm a little bit chilly because Long Beach seems to be a little bit chilly, but that happens when it goes down to 60 and we feel like we're in Chicago. Okay, concerning the books, I'll start off by saying these books have been published by Holloway House, which is a now defunct publishing company that was formerly owned by two men, Bentley Morris and Ralph Weinstock. I haven't seen Bentley in a while, but the last time I heard he was like 93 years old. So he may have had his last, or maybe he hadn't. In any case, I wish him the best, no matter what. Thank you very much. This is the Osai. Asai. Choose to you. Oh, that stuff is so good. Okay, what I wanted to. Black authors do matter.
Black authors do matter.
Yes, black authors do matter. And that's right in line with what we're about to talk about.
Right, as we wrap up 2024 and go into 2025, or in the beginning of any year, that one has to remember black authors do matter.
Black authors do matter. We'll get into a little bit into why we think that is so after I give you a brief synopsis of each one of these books. I'm starting with 5. I'm taking them row by row. In this row, I found myself looking at the covers for 5 books. One is called Chicago Hustle, Portrait of Simone, Black Casanova, which Zola Selena, my wife sitting to my left, hated with a passion. Hated it when it was published, hated it when has never liked the book. I'm sure there's a reason why. The next book is called The Great Lord Buddha. The Great Lord Buddha. I'm not talking about Buddha of the temple and Buddha, the deity. We had a friend who had slightly almond eyes and a nice tummy, and someone, you know how black people are. You give people nicknames, the big cat, the little snake, the shark dog.
Little bit.
That was my mother's nickname. My father's name was Honey. Your mother's name was Queen Jewel.
Yes.
It goes like that. So they nicknamed this guy the Great Lord Buddha. And finally, on Killer's Row here, we have the life and times of Chester L. Simmons. Now, I've had to explain from time to time Chester L. Simmons. I've used Chester L. Simmons in a number of novels that I've written because I found a character that I felt I was compatible with. Chester, the name itself comes from the name of a guy we knew once, a long time ago in Athens Park, who was addicted to Red Devils, which was popular at the time. And he wound up sitting on a railroad track and had both of his legs cut off. So, I don't know, I guess in memory of Chester, I always come up with Chester L. Simmons. In addition to that, he's a little bit of a, of a self-portrait. He has a little bit of me in him.
Okay.
Man, he got a lot more than that.
Yes, I think a lot more, right? Yes, indeed.
Okay, Chicago Hustle. Chicago Hustle is the story of a con man named Elijah Brookes. I'm taking characters from, they say, right, about what you know.
Right.
I'm taking characters from my life, and they seem to be more than real when I talk.
I
when I
know,
think
when
back.
you read them, they seem more real.
Well, people have told me that, and I really appreciate that, because I've tried to be true to the characters, and I didn't want to have my own sense of outrage on display. You know, like Elijah, for example, was a con man, and he was about games at all times. Everything was a game to him. Give me an example. I'll give you an example of something called the short change game.
Mm-hmm.
He talked to me about it, and we'll play it. We're going to try to make some money shortchanging money in a big department store, let's say Marshall Fields in downtown Chicago during this season, the busy Christmas season. Mm-hmm. We're going in to buy an item. Zola's going to buy an item that costs $25. I'm going to buy an item that also costs $25. Mm-hmm. Zola pays the clerk with a $100 bill for this $25 item, and I pay the clerk 3 or 4 customers down the line with a $50 bill. Mm-hmm. Busy clerk, she's waiting on 15, 20 people.
And there are no video cameras at
No video cameras
mm-hmm.
at this point in time.
Mm-hmm.
A lot more innocence was available to be played on. I come back to the clerk, 4 or 5 customers down the line, and said, "Listen, miss, I gave you a $100 bill, and you gave me change for 50. I didn't notice it until I walked away. So, you know." Meanwhile, I have to explain. Elijah and I have exchanged sale tickets around the corner of. Mm-hmm. So now I've got his receipt for change for 100, mm-hmm. and he's got my receipt. Doesn't matter. The lady, and this happened a number of times, during one Christmas season, we made more money than we should have made. Mm-hmm. She calls the manager saying, "This person is telling me that he got this item. He paid $25.95.
It cost $25.95.
Exactly, I couldn't remember that.
Mm-hmm.
He gave me a $100 bill, and I know he gave me a $50 bill." And the manager, of course, "Can I see your receipt, sir?" "Of course." You do a little dramatic. "I work too hard for my money to be coming into stores and just giving it away like that. When I paid her, sir, let me see your sales receipt." So you show him the receipt showing that you should have received change for a $100 bill. Right. And 9 times out of 10, because he's busy, and they may see the little con involved, mm-hmm. but it's why make a thing of it? So he, "Please ring up your register, pay this gentleman his correct change, and please, sir, try not to come back, okay?" And we go away to the next door.
And this works until another more industrious, smarter con shows up.
Well, concerning Elijah.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, he might play something out until he feels that it has gone to its limits. Mm-hmm. He had one that was very, very interesting to me, right. because it involved a lot of drama and a bit of acting and so forth. Mm-hmm. He goes to the bank. I don't know if he had money in the bank or not, but this is what he told me. Mm-hmm. He goes to the bank. He spots a very nice little old lady over there, black, white, green. He did this at the Hyde Park Bank in Chicago, the Hyde Park Bank. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's still there, right there on 55th. Mm-hmm. He looks around to see who looks vulnerable. Mm-hmm. Little old lady over there scribbling on the thing, Mm-hmm. And he watches carefully. She doesn't seem to be attached to anybody. Mm-hmm. He may have spotted her when she got out of the car by herself. He comes into the bank behind the little old lady. He said, this little old lady is speaking to the bank security guard. If she's a bank regular, the security guard knows who she is. This lady looks like a woman who's in my mother's church. I can't think of her name. And I want to go over and speak to her. Do you know who she is? Oh, that's Miss Adams. She comes here often. Oh, so this is Miss Adams. He goes over to the little sideway stand there and could pretend to do something, whatever it is he intends to do. She tells she has finished her business at the counter. He follows her out. He's dressed nicely. He has a tie on, nice haircut and the whole thing. Pardon me, Mrs. Adams. He used to call it his chalk white horse. Mrs. Adams. Mrs. Adams. Yes? I'd like to have a private word with you if you don't mind. Yes, she's standing there. We can get it. My car is parked here. Can we get in your car? And he pulls out some fake ID. Don't be afraid. I'm in the parking lot here, and everyone knows who I am but you. This is who I am. Oh, you're a policeman. Well, this is Secret Service. Can we talk? Well, okay. Most people, believe me, even the hippest of the hip can fall for things if they put to them in the right way. He sits in a nice car and he tells her, we have reason to believe that the person, the teller, who waited on you this today is embezzling funds from the bank. Embezzling funds? You mean he's taking money out of the bank? He's taking your money, Mrs. Adams, and a number of other people. We've determined it down to you and 4 other people. I can't mention their names to you because this is secret information. Here's what we're asking our customers to do. Are you listening to me, Mr. Jones? I sure am. I'll put that rascal in jail. That's what we intend to do. This is a federal crime, and we're going to see that he gets as much time as we can put on him with your assistance, your help.
Yes.
I'll do whatever I can. Okay, here's what we want you to do. Tomorrow, not today, he's already, involved in some other things. Tomorrow, we'd like to have you come to the bank and withdraw. You got a checking account, right? Yeah, checking account. We want to have you draw half of your funds from the bank. Oh, I ain't got, but no. Don't tell me. I don't want to know that. This is secret. Let's say they usually have lunch at about 12:30. And it means that people are going to lunch and they can come back, feeling full of themselves and so forth. So they're easier to get to. This is the thinking of the person who's doing the rip-off. Work here in the bank, right behind the counter. Which one? No. We can't reveal this information to you. Now, right about 12:30, we'd like to have you come in and withdraw half of your funds, and I'll meet you at your house. Can I get your address? He could ask her for her mother's maiden name, for her date of anything, because when she gets to the giving, I'm at 1152 East 53rd Street, right around the corner here in Hyde Park. When you get your funds, come straight home. I'll meet you there. We're going to get this rascal and put him in jail. Okay. It's called the long con. The short con takes a little longer. The short con takes not quite so long. He's on pins and needles all night long. He told me. You can't worry about anything because she might be playing a game on you, and she went right back into the bank and told him there's a man out there. But in this case, the way he explains to me, she didn't. The next day, right on time, she goes, gets half of her money out of the bank, half, and he waits until she gets back home. There she is on the mailbox. He knows who she is, where she lives, right there. Ding, ding. Opens the door. Come right in, Mr. Adams. Well, I have no time to sit and have tea with you, Miss Jones, or whatever her name is. But I bought a nice size brown envelope for you to deposit your cash in. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to give you a receipt for this. Let me get my receipt book here. Now, how much are we putting in there? Well, I only had 100,000. Oh, only 100,000. Okay, that means you got out 50 grand. Oh, that's enough to get him, the rascal. He gets the 50 grand, gives her a bogus receipt, and he's off. He cleaned off. He cleaned off. He used to tell me these stories, and I have reason to believe that some of them might be true.
Right.
So that's Chicago Hustle. Portrait of Simone is a simple story of an older woman and a younger man. The young guy this is number 2, it's called Portrait of Simone. The photo is of a woman named Dee McNeil, who came out of the Watts Writers Workshop with me, yours truly. And the photograph is by D.J. Robinson, very good photographer. It's a love story. It's a love story of a young soldier, 24, who meets this 50-ish old lady. Well, not old, but she's 50-ish.
Yeah, up in years.
It's more than a couple of years.
Up in years.
Up in years.
Up in years.
They get to know each other. She is at that stage where she has had the children. She's semi-retired, working part-time in the library. A little bit frustrated because life in a small town, what can you do?
Life has passed her by.
And yeah, exactly. That's a good way to pass it. And here comes this gallant young buck.
Don Juan.
So the rest
Don Juan in uniform.
Don Juan in uniform. Well, actually, he wasn't Don Juan. He was more an opportunist.
Okay.
You know, he's kind of looking for something.
But he had the gift of gab.
He had the gift of gab. He could talk that talk.
Yes, he could.
Talk that talk.
Still can. Moving right along.
I don't mean to get carried away.
Moving right along.
Okay. Portrait of Simone. The ending is hopeful, and I think having a scene take place in deepest Georgia, Augusta, Georgia, the example, gives it a kind of atmospheric touch that you might not get in some other place. So I would give it, if I were giving stars, I would give it 4 stars. Now we get to the Black Casanova,
which I say is a tale of one F after another F, but that's just my opinion.
As Alfred Reed would say, only my opinion.
Only my opinion.
Don't let Zola fool you. She's gone around and done sample of opinions. Say, what do you think of this rotten book? What do you think of this rotten book? It has to do with the fact.
But a lot of men apparently like it.
It's gentlemen. It's a salacious piece of material that I felt I had the urge to write and the skill to write, and I did. I wasn't trying to write the Cameron or any of the love story of Adam and Juliet and and the boy.
Right, you just wanted to get money for it to go to trip to Europe. Right, that's what you wanted.
That's what I wanted. So I got that. Thank you, Holloway House. They weren't all mean. Okay. Then we come to the great Lord Buddha. The great Lord Buddha, as I explained earlier, was the name that we gave a guy who had a nice tummy and slanted eyes, black guy who used to disappear. We lived on Bourne Avenue at the time on the south side of Chicago, 42nd and Bourne to be exact. I lived in the basement of something called the Bourne Hotel, which was not a hotel. And you,
well, not by the time you got to live there.
By the time we got to live there, it was not a hotel.
It had lost being a hotel.
It had lost its shine, its gleam, and everything.
The power.
Ooh, that hurts.
Sorry about that.
We lived in the basement, and it was terrible. But we had some people in the neighborhood. One of them was this guy I'm talking about. The great Lord Buddha was one of these people who had, what do you call it? He had eyes, he thought he was grand. He smoked his cigarettes out of a cigarette holder. He twisted an ascot around his neck. I don't know where he got his clothes, but he might show up. He disappeared every winter. That's what happened. Never saw him in the wintertime. Spring came, May, June, and we all used to congregate on some stairs in front of a friend's house named Sherman Reynolds. Sherman had 4 brothers. All of them became drug addicts. Sherman also became a drug addict and OD'd and fell out of a second floor window. So that's the way some of my friends were going down. The great Lord Buddha would sit. On this occasion, it was heavy spring, nice atmosphere, nighttime. Kids playing double dutch over there, some good music coming from over there. And he's sitting down here. We are surreptitiously passing around a bottle of cheap wine called Richard's Wild Irish Rose. Richard's Wild Irish Rose. Ooh.
Yes.
And a joint. Well, actually 2 joints. Well, actually there were 5 of us, so it was 4 joints.
There you go.
Buddha sits down and starts, hey, any of you young brothers ever been to China? No, man, China, you ain't never been nowhere, Here, you want some of this? No, I can't. He refused to drink it at first.
Right.
Until he got into his story. And here's the story, one of the stories he told. I had stowed away on a ship going west, and somewhere along the line, it got detoured and wound up in the east. Wound up on, I believe it was Shanghai.
Of course.
What?
Shanghai.
Shanghai.
Shanghai to tell.
You had to pay careful attention to his language because he's telling you that he's making this up. I was in Shanghai about 3 weeks, and I got a call from this rich merchant who wanted me to come and become his bodyguard because I was known to be a sharpshooter in those days.
Yes.
You were a sharpshooter? I was a sharpshooter. I could hit a pigeon in the eye at 100 paces. That's sharpshooter. Okay. Shanghai. He hires me, the merchant. I'm not going to mention his name because I can't pronounce it anyway. And okay, I'm taking care of things. I make sure that nobody kills him. But I looked up and his lady had taken a liking to me. His lady had taken a liking to me. You don't want to have a Chinese lady of a upper class semi-gangster fall for you because then you might find yourself on a cake of ice with a rope around your neck.
Yes.
You know how that's done?
Yes.
The rope goes on, and as the cake of ice melts, you get taller and taller. Well, I couldn't resist totally. So what do? I wound up conning her out of a sizable amount of jade. sizable amount. I mean, maybe like 4 pounds, 2 kilos. And at the time, jade was very expensive, especially the kind of get jade she had. Got the jade, split, wound up going to Paris, hooked up with some Armenian gangsters over there, traded the jade for some cocaine, took the cocaine, peddled it to these people in Paris, in Marseille, where they do what they do there, and wound up in South Africa.
And in South Africa.
In South Africa.
In South Africa.
To Johannesburg, to be exact.
Says, the South Africans declared that Chester was a white man because they considered him too smart.
Exactly. What happened is that I looked up and I was looking for some way to hide out. And some of my friends, I had made friends in Soweto. They said, hey man, get one of these nondescript jobs so nobody pay you any attention. So I wind up working down in the diamond mines. They got everything in South Africa, diamonds, gold.
Yes.
I wound up getting a gig down. They didn't care who they hired, just so long as you could bring your body down there and just shovel and pick and da-da-da-da-da. I was down in there for 1 month. 1 month.
Interesting tale of two cities.
Oh, this is what he told us. I'm not telling you that.
Okay.
This is not my story.
I know it.
Black authors matter.
It is your.
This is not my story. I'm telling you, yeah.
Right.
This is not my story. This is his story.
His story.
He looked up, or rather, I'm using I because that makes it much more personal. I looked up, and I realized there was some of the African brothers who were getting away with little industrial type gems. You know, you had them away in your body or whatever. So I decided to go big time and escape. You had to escape. You could sign a 2-year contract to work in the gold mines or the diamond mines. You had to stay there till your 2 years were up. I faked off a thing that got me out of there. They got me out of there with a nice handful of first class gems. Got it.
Okay. This is cute.
Okay. What do I do with it? I think, okay, I know what. I'll go to Africa. I hadn't been to Africa. So he decides to go to Africa. I decided to go to Africa.
He just left Soweto. So what part of Africa did he go?
I'm sorry. You're right on the job.
Okay.
This is East Africa. I decided to go to East Africa, up along the Ethiopia, because the conquering line of Judah, Haile Selassie was in charge. I'm glad you caught me on that because I had gotten lost. You know how it is sometimes.
I know how it is. When you're telling tales,
I get to
lost. You can get lost.
Keep me on score.
I know you
keep me on track. I got in touch with one of the relatives of the Emperor Haile Selassie. I can't remember the brother's name, but he bought my diamonds, and then he decided he was going to keep me captive because I could work for him. I escaped. I had saved 2 or 3 of these diamonds so that I could have something. Got the exchange for that. Sold them off to some guy. Far lower than the rate should have been.
Right.
And next thing I knew, I was coming back to America, poor as a church mice, but I had that adventure. So
alive with adventure.
Yeah. Let me have a little bit of that wine y'all drinking. Oh, did I tell you at one point? I ran into a young comedian who was just getting started around about that time. Brother named Red Fox. I ran into Red one night at something like a costume ball or something like that. And I was very impressed with the fact that he was warm and cheerful to everybody. He spotted me, you know, because I was developing my tum-tum.
Right, you moseyed over to him and...
Hey, Mr. Fox, my name is Chester Simmons. I've enjoyed your work. You ain't seen me work yet. You see, when you see me work, you'll see me with a shovel.
Okay.
When I'm on stage, I ain't doing no work. I'm having a good time. Now, what is it I can do for you? And don't ask me for no money. That's what people do. Every time I look up, they ask me for some money because they think I'm rich now because I'm on the stage. I was in Paris last week. You know that? I was in Paris. No, I'm sorry. I was in London. London about 30 miles east of Detroit.
Right.
30,000 miles, I meant to say.
I like the invitation.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying.
Right.
I was I went to see a young man named Jacob Lusk.
Mm-hmm.
Jacob Lusk,
Mm-hmm.
young brother, could sing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he could sing his buns off.
Yes, Jacob Less, look him up on the YouTube. He can sing.
Jacob Lusk
Mm-hmm.
got a prominent family.
But of course, that's not in this.
That's not. This is excess material.
This is a sidebar.
Yeah, it's a sidebar.
Okay.
So
Also, I wanted to mention too that in Black Casanova, that the women called him Chili because he was so hot.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
I mean,
yeah. Okay. Now after Chester Elson.
That's another one of the reasons I think you take exception to the fact that he was so salacious.
Yes. Very much so. Mm-hmm.
Those are the books.
Oh, no, you have one more. The Life and Times of Chester L. Simmons.
The Life and Times of Chester L. Simmons?
Yeah.
Where did you see that? Let me see it.
That's right here.
Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm.
The Life and Times, thank you for reminding me. I was about to wander off somewhere.
Black authors.
Black authors do matter.
Okay.
The Life and Times of Chester L. Simmons, oh my goodness.
Mm.
Chester L. Simmons is a composite of all of the figures I just named and more. I was raised, this is the real me now, not Chester. I was raised, born in Chicago, on the west side of Chicago. The west side of Chicago was then called the near west side, which meant that it was the ghetto. I moved from the ghetto on the west side to the ghetto on the south side. And we moved to the ghetto on the north side. I was quite familiar with all ghettos in Chicago. They don't have an east side ghetto because that's the lake. So no ghettos built on the lake. But the composite figure is telling stories that all of these people used to tell me. The Life and Times of Chester L. Simmons is it's a record of a biography of a guy who never thought about working. I think it could be sort of my father. Yes,
most definitely a honey.
My father's name was, his nickname was Honey.
He was an Odie first.
And Zola fell in love with him supernaturally because he's been gone for years. But you would have to love the kind of person he was.
I got a bit of a flavor when I met Uncle John.
Oh, yes. Uncle John was Honey's, my father's older brother. And when they met and he put his arms around her, I thought I might have to get a divorce. But as you can see, it's all right. It's all right.
Indeed. I quickly looked for him and I come here, husband.
Okay. These three men, these three black brothers from...
Watch out for Hawkins men.
From Yazoo City, Mississippi.
Men from the South with great game.
That people don't recognize it, do they? The good old country boy said, "Hey, what's your name, lady? How you doing?"
Touchy.
Oh, I didn't mean to touch you. I didn't mean, don't get me wrong.
That's all right.
I should, you touching me, it's nice. You can touch me and say, "Hey, where you live at?"
Your house.
Well, we don't want to tell people everything, do we? Now, wait a minute. Hold it. Let's get this feedback on the job here, because you...
The Life and Times of Chester.
And your hand is so warm, especially this finger here. Ooh-wee. That's a hot forefinger, I'm telling you. Okay, move side. This is Chester L. Simmons, who was known and prone to become sort of funny. And that's all I'm going to say today about the books. They are here, but don't come here to try to get one. Order it from somewhere.
You can order online. You can just Google Odie Hawkins books. O-D-I-E Hawkins. That's Odie, not Odie. Odie Hawkins. And also you can find him on Amazon or Barnes & Noble online. And so there are really some fascinating stories that will cheer you and make you smile as we go from one season to another.
Oh, I love the way you say that. Make you, yeah, that's
They
good.
they really do. Oh, and his website is www.odiehawkins.com. Hope that as this year ends, that you will have even a better year and years to come.
Okay.
Mhm.
Well, let me ask you two things.
Yes, sir.
If I put enough money in the bank, could I get a green hat like yours?
Oh, certainly I can.
Oh, I think that means something. Before we bring this to an end, without trying to be too funny, I'd like to say a couple of things that are maybe a little bit more serious. It concerns book banning. You may as well say book burning. And in a conversation with a friend of mine, we were talking about the incredible thing of seeing books being banned in America in 2024, 2025. And what is, Odie, have you ever had a book ban? He asked me. And I thought about it. I said, yeah, come to think about it. I had the first book published in 1972 called Ghetto Sketches. And the book was immediately given a very low place in the marketplace, number one. It's a form of restraining, could be almost like book banning, because if you determine that an author's work is so undesirable, according to your opinion, then you can make certain that it doesn't reach a viable market.
Well, this was at the time when people were banning or trying to get off of the network Beulah, Amos and Andy, all the black shows, because they didn't want to show that black people could be anything of those characters.
It wasn't that Prince, what's Prince of
Bel Air?
Prince of Bel Air. It wasn't at that point at all.
Right, and so that the language was not the King's English. And so a lot of Odie's books, the people are talking as they naturally would talk in their homes with their friends.
But it could be enlarged on that a bit. They were not talking the way African American people from different socioeconomic levels talk. All African American people do not talk alike. Southerners have what might be called a Southern accent. It was funny. I hear people from down south. All of my people are from down south. I consider myself a first generation Northerner.
Right.
And the black people I can think of that I know didn't have Southern white accents. You know, that twang and bring that thing over here, y'all. Right. I want you Negroes to start getting to work, and if I come by here again, somebody gonna get fired. We get some new hands to get out there in the cotton field. Yeah. All right? Black people may have Southern accents, but somehow they're softer. Come here, baby. Yeah. Come here, come here, baby. Yeah. Like that. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is concerning my books, book after book, in which I think I've been relentlessly authentic, because I couldn't see it any other kind of way. I thought this is an opportunity to express the thoughts of some people I grew up with who did not have the outlets, who didn't have the skills to write their accents, their beautiful ways of expressing themselves. Where you been at? Where you been at? Okay, where you been at? Right. Where you been at?
And it has special meaning.
A friend, I forget what they call it, philologist, I think it's called, explained that some African Americans have retained grammatical speech patterns based on the former African language that they came here with. I don't know how true this is. I haven't studied it. But from time to time, when you run into people who are really deeply into the conversations, into the language that they grew up with, you may not be able to grasp where they're slinging it from.
Right, yeah. You'd be totally up the creek.
up the creek,
you know. Up the creek without a paddle.
Without a paddle. So, I'll just say, I have felt that my books were banned, no matter how many, this is one of the reasons why I wound up with self-publishing. I didn't want to sit around and wait for some well-educated young white guy to tell me, well, they did tell me, and in addition to the well-educated young black guy, to say, hey, listen, we could publish your books. We could publish that latest book you had. If only you would, if you would take out some of that, those linguistic twists and that profanity. Profanity? It's not profanity, that's language. That's the way people speak.
Right.
Okay, we went through that. I stepped beyond that, which is why I'm selling books on this corner, for God's sake.
And I would like to make a note for those who call and are asking Odie to have a television interview, and they say that it's free, the interview, but they want us to pay for the time, the television time.
They squeeze money in it to some kind of way, one way or the other.
That's a no-no. Just want you to know.
Okay, so that's...
So don't waste your time calling.
Don't waste your time.
Because that's a no-no.
Thank you. That would be my particular story about having banned books. I consider it a banning if I don't have a free shot at the open marketplace. I don't know if you've noticed this too. We have more black authors, male and female, being published now than ever before. If you don't believe it, pick up the New York Sunday Book Review. Many more Africans are being published in America. Maybe you don't know them. I don't. Chimada Ngozi, I think, is one. Many, but there's still a reluctance to bring out more than one big-time author at a time. Here's what I mean. Ta-Nehisi Coates, wonderful writer, is now one of the people at the current top. Our friend Colby, who wrote the Underground Railroad, is currently at the top. It used to be that they would have one black writer at a time. Richard Wright, James Baldwin. I'm having a block. James Baldwin, who wrote Beloved? Toni Morrison. Toni Morrison. Toni Morrison. And then another one, and then later on there might be another person. It got to be really prolific when they got up to maybe two. If you watch it year after year, until finally the possibility of all this talent just simply overwhelmed the drawback. And more people out there than ever before. I'm going to end this by saying, I know why black authors matter. Well, I'll tell you. Here's why black authors matter. She's playing on me. If you don't have people who can reflect the expressions of your cultural prism, you won't have people who can speak to you. I can think of a half a dozen actresses and actors who have not really ever made it up because they were reflections of who we were as a people. And at that time, producers didn't want that. Like you said, they wanted Amos and Andy. Some very fine actors and actresses went abroad. They went, one guy, Earl Heyman, went to Norway and became famous. Well, this is after Ira Eldridge went to England and played Othello at the Old Vic in London. Our friend Herman went to Norway and played Othello in Norway, and it was a great success at it in Norwegian. He used to be on the Bill Cosby show from time to time as Bill Cosby's father. So why black authors matter.
And let me also add black actresses. There's Rosie Hooks and Patricia Forte, that I believe whatever script they're given, they could read it till you are totally
In enthralled.
yes.
They make things come alive.
Yes, and not all actresses can do that. And in fact, for culture, you know, people should be able to.
You should be able to see yourself.
Cross, right? You know.
Yeah.
Okay, so Iris, we're looking forward to you making it big too.
Iris Thing is a good example.
Yes.
A fine young actress who's coming along, and we'll see whether or not they have a role open for you as an action star. I think Iris wants to become the next Michelle Yeoh.
Yes, and she certainly should be.
Listen, I think I've said enough about why black authors matter. They matter because we are your voices. Those of us who are honest enough to say, I don't want to write what they want me to write. I want to write what comes out of you.
We want to write our story.
Our story. Give me, bam. Ouch. Ooh, you too cold. Too cold with your green hat on.
You teach me.
Hey, listen, we have to go.
We certainly do. Well, like I said, hope you have a wonderful night.
Hey, come here, baby, with your green hat on.
Come, baby.
Come here, baby, with your green hat on. Come here, baby, with your green. Oh, you cut it off, right?